live. All right, I pressed it. It's loading. It's saying connection is ready. It says connection is excellent. I am just waiting for the photo to pop up. And we are good. We are live.
All right. Hey, how's everyone doing? Happy Halloween. Welcome to the Outpost 1018 Anime Podcast for October. Spooktacular Halloween spooky edition. How's everyone doing? Hope you had a good month. This month, we're doing two movies. The first is Demon City, and the second is Wicked City. Two very similar movies with similar aesthetics and kind of a similar premise. They're a little different, and we'll go into that. Why don't we all introduce ourselves? I am Neo Tokyo Tempo.
I am Getsuryu or Josh.
I am Red Baron or RJ.
My name is Lois, also known as Striker. Salami ate some bacon, brothers.
I'm Sugar Mostly, or Nines.
All right. Let's get into this. So we're doing Demon City first. Demon City is an anime from the late 80s, I think 87. Correct me if I'm wrong. About
88.
88. All right.
Yeah.
And it is about a character named Kyoya Izayo. I cannot pronounce that.
Isayoi.
Izayoi, who his father had fought the demon king Ra Levi. Revi Ra, and died.
Yeah, Genichiro. His father's name Genichiro.
Yeah. And he, in doing so, he failed to prevent Ra Revi from summoning the demon world into the real world, but he couldn't do it fully. He only affected like a certain area in the city. Was it Tokyo?
Yeah, it was. He destroyed Shinjuku.
It was in fact Tokyo.
Shinjuku.
And he had to wait 10 years before he could finish his work and basically take over the world with armies of demons. And Kyoya, his purpose, his goal is to stop them. Or at least he's called upon to stop them. And in the beginning of the movie, the president, who apparently is the greatest politician to ever live, it's actually pretty ridiculous how great he is. He got captured by the demon forces, and his daughter comes to Kyoya, who for some reason she knows that he's the. We'll get into.
Yeah, Sayaka.
Yeah. And calls upon him to fight Ra.
Really quick, I just wanted to add. So similar to SMT, the main villain, he's a human that allows a demon lord to possess him, and it takes 10 years because in that time, an earthquake almost destroys Shinjuku, and it becomes a haunting ground for demons and other worldly creatures. And it can only spread if he finishes the ritual, which, as Neo Tokyo said, took 10 years.
Yeah. So let's go into the animation.
Beautiful animation.
The detail is incredible for what it aged very well, in my opinion.
It's very clear that a lot of work went into it. I like the really sharp reflections on their hair. I like the really high contrast colors. It's a lot of work and a lot of money had to have gone into visuals like that. It's really a testament to how good animators at the time were. That is aged so well. It looks better than a lot of stuff coming out today.
Yeah, I agree.
Really,
It's
really does.
like developed. It really carried itself through the years. It still looks good today.
That, that, that level of detail is something I strive for as an artist, personally.
Yeah, there was a lot of very high quality moments. Like the background, some of the fights were really good. Like some of the animation, especially for its time, was really well done. But there was some moments that like I saw a couple visual glitches, and it might have just been because the age of the video kind of aged whenever moving around uploads. But there was a few issues that I saw. Nothing major though, and it, it there was also a kind of consistency issue where you'd have like these amazing looking backgrounds, and then you'd have like almost like a cartoony kind of character show up, and it just some of those were just kind of like jarring.
Yeah.
But all in all, that and the first fight scene, like that I know that it's supposed to be this hook, but like visually, it just did nothing for me compared to the rest of the anime. Like it just it if there was any flat moments visually, it's right in the beginning, and that's whenever you should be wanting to hook people in more. So
Yeah.
I would say that that would be the other really bad visual issue.
Yeah, there was some really nice well detailed monsters. They definitely did they were definitely very creative with the designs of the different demons and mutated creatures in the city. It was quite well done. There were a couple characters that I thought looked kind of cliche, like Ra and pull up his name,
The snake.
Mephisto.
Mephisto.
The Vincent Valentine lookalike, yeah.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of their designs, but I understand it's from the 80s. These things might not have been that cliche yet when this was made. I don't know, but so that's really only conjecture.
Yeah, like it's we can say things are cliche now, but at the time this was like the beginning of it, so it's like I was like, oh, it's another anime moment. Oh, I was like, wait, this is like one of the originals. That it wasn't an anime moment. This is what anime moments were based off of. But yeah, no, the only other visual issue, and this is more of like maybe just just talking about the combat. I did not like that the guy just like shot lasers out of his sword. That just seemed so fucking like it's like, oh, you have this epic, amazing sword. What does it do? Well, it's a long-range weapon that just shoots lasers, and I'm never going to swing it. And that
Yeah, that was
that
ridiculous.
that was really weird, and I wish that maybe there was like a little bit more clashing with it, not just like I'm going to shoot this, and that's gonna be my only attack. So.
Yeah.
I don't
All
like
right.
Mirror Bleach.
All right, we're trying to speed things along here.
I want to say one quick thing. The fight between Mephisto and the strange, twisty snake luck demon. I really enjoyed the level of detail, especially when like the pull balls would like being hit around. Like it was really, really detailed. It's obvious that the studio, it was Madhouse, I believe, they were very, very, very detailed in their work. Very detailed.
It was in fact Madhouse that did this movie.
All
right, so let's move on to the sound design. There's not a ton to say here, other than it's sort of typical kind of 80s synth sounds making up most of the soundtrack, and some pretty standard fight scene kind of stuff. I found the voice acting to be just fine. I didn't really see anything wrong with it.
So I want to say something really weird. Like I was kind of like in and out. Like I was not paying attention to this entire anime. Like I was trying to focus as much as possible. But there's a moment where like one of like the soundtrack from like Totoro came in for like about 5 seconds, but it was like an eerie version of it, and it was really weird. So like that caught my eye, like ear, and then while I was listening to it, I realized like the music was actually really well produced.
Yeah. If you like 80s synth kind of stuff, you'll probably like the soundtrack. It's kind of like creepy 80s synth. And some more dancey stuff, but it almost like an underground techno kind of thing.
It fits the color scheme kind of, even though it doesn't fit the theme. It's most of the music fits the theme, but the some of the techno-y stuff I know you're talking about, it was just like what the heck, like what Josh just said. So yeah. Otherwise, it's the eerie atmosphere overall is good sound wise.
So it had a bit of a Italo disco vibe to it, more than anything else.
Yeah, it actually fit the situation that it needed to be. I went and listened to it myself privately when this is over, because I actually do like it, but I think it was hard to pay attention to both the scenes going on and the music.
Yeah. I was watching it with a friend, and I remember in one of the final scenes, he remarked, "Wait, is that Thriller?" or something like that.
Yeah, it seems like they took a lot of inspiration from other movies at that time, or like maybe I would have to look into it, but maybe they were working with other people, or like people at Madhouse knew like some other things that were going on. But like the music seemed to like pull from themes from other things a lot, and that was kind of weird. But it is definitely like the way I would describe it would be take like cyberpunk and then just make it like that 80s synth the entire time. So
Yeah. All right. I think just to keep the ball rolling, let's move on to the characters. All right. Now that we're done with the characters, let's move on. No.
terrible,
No,
horrible.
Yeah, terrible, horrible. Let's move on to the plot. Terrible, horrible.
Can we talk? Can we talk about? Okay.
There is no.
So I'm just looking at the cast, right? And
Mhm.
after like the like main characters, it's hag, rapist, water demon, earth demon. I'm like, wait, that was our cast, hag and rapist. Okay.
And don't forget little shit in motorized roller skates.
Oddly enough, he was probably the most interesting character out of the
Really?
entire thing.
Alucard?
I would have to somewhat agree on that, because you see when the main character and the president's daughter Ioya and Sayaka, they come across him, first thing he does is he asks for resources because he's fucking hungry, and he tells you how life is at post-apocalyptic Shinjuku.
Yeah. Well, it's like look at our lead, Kyoya. What makes Kyoya interesting?
I'm afraid
he has a wooden sword. He can put his spirit into, just like his dad.
Yeah, but that's
snarky.
That like wooden sword is like stuff he can do. That doesn't make him interesting.
I'm saying his personality's wooden.
Yeah.
Like
what's it like? What is his personality?
Ah, I see. My father was slain by Revira. Yes, your father
Supergirl.
was slain. You must defeat Revira. Ah, I see.
It
Yeah, that's his
seems
personality.
Like it seems like he's just facilitator of the plot.
He's the main character of the RPG.
He doesn't seem to have he doesn't seem to have any opinions of his own on any of the things that's happening.
He just reacts to everything around him.
Yeah, he doesn't he doesn't what he doesn't what am I saying?
He doesn't have the drive.
Yeah, I would even argue. Like the reason the president's daughter even came across him, she was trying to figure out where Revirah was because she wanted to try to get her father back, and he came across her by accident. If you remember the old woman, the quote unquote the hag, so if you remember in I believe it was 1 minute, or I'm sorry, no, it was 21 minutes in, Ioya beats the crud out of these Yakuza guys and says, "Tell me where Revirah is," and then the city literally consumes the Yakuza guy. And as he's heading there to find the old woman, he just gets lucky. He gets lucky because the old woman is dead. Revirah's demon ate the old woman so that Ioya wouldn't find Revirah, because would the demons care if Sayaka found Revirah? No, they just eat her. But they really care that a guy with a wooden sword that can kill their boss is looking for him.
Yeah. Well, it's like the old man shows up. I can pull up his name in a second. Rai. Rai shows up and just tells him, "Yeah, you need to go fight this Revirah guy," along with about freaking 10 minutes of exposition. And he just kind of goes along with it. He argues a little bit, but he just kind of goes along with it, even though he has no reason to. Like, if some mysterious glowing old man told you that you have to go fight a demon because he killed your father, you'd probably
many years ago, I fought with your father in the Clone Wars.
You'd probably tell him he was crazy, yell, "Get out of my house," and not even consider a single word he said.
And also, what relationship did the main character even have with his dad?
Many years ago.
How much?
I'm just doing the Obi-Wan voice.
His teacher whenever he was a kid. That was the entire.
That's all.
But the audience doesn't. The audience doesn't see any of that, so they can't even relate to his relationship with his father. It's not like Shinji where he has this motivation to impress his father.
Not even. Tenchi Muyo, the main character of Tenchi Muyo, had more personality and a better reason to carry a magic sword than this dude.
Yeah.
Kyoya, you guys are right. The guy has the same personality as that Nempo stick he calls a sword. But unfortunately, the story is basically, I had to finish what my dad started.
May I without overdoing it, may I just explain what it's even supposed to be so it makes sense to everybody?
Yes.
It's supposed to compete with Shin Megami Tensei in a sense. It's from a certain era of Japanese literature where the apocalypse became super interesting for people. Like, there was an anime called X that did it. Shin Megami Tensei, the series, did it, and Demon City Shinjuku tried to do it. In fact, there's a book series, and the books are, I would argue, probably better because they try to cram the books into one movie, and you can't do that even with a live action. So.
Yeah.
So, can I just tell you my favorite part of the characters? And this kind of goes back to the voice. So I watched it in English. I don't know if anyone else watched the dub. And it was all of the side characters were British voice actors, right? But they all had Mexican accents, and it was the worst Mexican and I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and they even bring it up. Like, that was the main reception that people remember that watched it in English, was how bad the Mexican accents were, while they're in Japan, being British people were playing them, and it's just like it's one of the funniest things. That was one of the only thing that kept my attention.
Joshua, if I may interject, the waitress had a Southern accent, which is something that
it was all over the place.
Yeah, it was
The voice acting was all over.
Yeah, you're right. The waitress had the Southern accent. A few of the characters had like Southern draw. It was so terrible. Oh my god, it was so bad. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
something that actually.
wait, let's
Yeah. Let's.
all right, let's move on to the plot. Because that will bring us at about 30 minutes for this.
Yeah, I can summarize
review.
the next movie in like 1 or 2 lines easily.
All right. So the plot is probably even worse than the characters.
What
Like oh yeah, what plot?
Wait, there was unironically, like I
should
didn't-
specify
I could not follow the
what
plot.
narrative.
Yeah. Like,
I was following the plot the whole time and none of it made sense. We start with this opening battle and wait, who are these two people? Why are they fighting?
Exactly.
What's this about? Why is this guy screaming my lord in 10 years? Wait, what's going on? Oh wait, who's this kid? Wait, what happened? What about the geologist and the seismic earthquake? What?
Yeah.
Oh, why how are they covering up these giant rifts in the earth and demons coming out of the ground? How's the government covering that up? How come nobody outside how come nobody outside this area is speaking about this or knows about it?
Yeah, you'd wonder what the family members would say. I mean, heck, the I don't want to call it the rival, but the rival series explained it as the government convinced everybody that there's poison gas in the area, so everyone for their own well-being is terrified of going in. This didn't even do that.
Well, it was like the president got caught, and like the guy was watching the news on like a shitty TV, and was like, "Oh wait, don't," and like he's yelling, and I'm like, "How the fuck did you even know? Like, how did he sense
He like
anything?"
supposedly has like some psychic powers, even though they like
Yeah, some psychic powers that he saw through a very grainy version on TV. Like, what?
also
Oh my god.
like there's no like explanation of like why they can't like cut those vines.
Yeah.
Like you would think that there'd be like a scene where they like tried to cut the vines and like they couldn't because some magic force field was stopping them or some
or
shit.
Or it just kept recording back something.
Yeah, something like that. There was also Ra shows up. Ra shows up and it's like, who's this guy? And he starts explaining insane amounts of stuff. Just like everything you need to know to understand what the hell is going on. And it's just dumb. Why does this
And then it turns out he was just projecting himself at the end when the kid fails to even strike.
And again, why does Kyoya agree to go along with this? Why?
Yeah, I was doing the Obi-Wan impression on purpose because I swear this is like I'm not complaining as much, but that is a cliche. Glowing old man or wise sage, old man says, "Son, your father was killed in a battle long ago. You must now take his sword and finish the job."
Yeah, but it's like in Star Wars it made sense because Luke already had an interest in joining the rebellion, and he really wanted to get out of Tatooine. There was nothing wrong with. There's nothing wrong.
No,
with,
I agree. It makes sense in every other.
life.
Yeah, no, I've seen like other things that do that. Heck, Samurai Jack does that without the old man being there to tell him something. I mean, well, his father is the old man, but like there was no reason. There's no reason for him to go there other than, oh, my dad wasn't in my life because a guy killed him. You want me to go kill the guy who killed my dad, who is more experienced than me? Okay, like.
Yeah. And then
reclusive about that.
And then at the end, like, right in the beginning, his dad like throws his sword down like a crack, and then at the end, oh, here's another thing. Gravity. There's no fall damage. This is a video game. There's no fall damage. What's her face? Sakuya.
Sayaka.
Falls like
Sayaka.
Sayaka falls like 100 feet and sustains no injuries from it.
Her neck doesn't snap.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's Demon City gravity
It
rules,
was
not
made of iron.
it's not a real world rules.
Oh,
as long as you're
yeah.
in that city,
It's
you're
even
fine.
it's even worse. It's even worse because she lands and there's like a whole bunch of rebars sticking up, and she manages to land perfectly in between the rebars so she doesn't get impaled.
I remember that.
But
I
anyway,
remember that.
That was a
near
what
the
the
end,
fuck moment.
Kyoya falls like a mile down this crack in the earth, and he just lands on grass, and he's like fine. And then and like, why is there grass down there? Like how does sunlight reach all the way down there?
Yeah, I
And,
think at this point it's just the plot is terrible. Like
yeah, and that like I can't
the
even
writing
like
is garbage. Just, like
Yeah.
like we could. I'm trying to stop you just because if we keep going, we're just gonna rant about the entire thing. So
yeah, I could rant about like almost every moment like this. Like
Yeah.
it's like there's very few moments in this plot where I wasn't yelling at the screen, why is this happening? How? Why?
Yeah.
What the fuck? This makes no sense. All right, let's give our takes on this one so that we can move on to the next.
yeah,
Rating time.
all right, I'll go. I'm gonna give it. I'll say a 3.5. And I should bring out my calculator just to do that. But so I'm giving it that just because the animation was nice. And for the few moments that I was paying attention because something caught my eye or ear, those small moments were entertaining. But whenever we're talking about ratings, the baseline of 5 should be I was able to watch it fully without trying to rewind it so that I could figure out what was going on, and it didn't even hit that. So 3.5.
Lewis.
All right. Outside the animation and the color palette and the detail, there really isn't much to offer regarding this movie outside that it's your typical good versus evil movie, which has been tried into for so many times it gets tiring. So I'm gonna be quick. This is 6.
All right. Mostly.
Yeah, I agree. Without like the great '80s visuals and the soundtrack, really, there wasn't really anything remarkable about this. Sadly, it felt like other series did it way better during the same era. So I give it a 5.
RJ.
So, having been the one to suggest this, and I only suggested it because this movie and the next movie were well done, great studio. I only picked this movie, and this is the sad part. Okay, I only picked this movie because the Shin Megami Tensei OVAs are arguably worse. They look worse, and their plot makes even less sense than this. Don't get me wrong, though. Shin Megami Tensei as a franchise makes complete sense. You can go from A to B. The movies don't make any sense, and this one is only slightly better. So I'm going to have to give it, I'm being generous, 6.5. The 0.5 is only because of the good sound, good audio. I'm sorry, good sound, good visuals, and keeping me entertained for an hour and a half. I watched it from beginning to end, and I was entertained. But the story, as I made the joke, the main character is the lead character of a JRPG. That's all he is. He's a facilitator, and as we discussed, he just gets lucky. That's all it is. Like, he wouldn't have known where to find Revira if Sayaka had been eaten moments. If he had been late by only like a margin of a minute, he wouldn't know where the heck to find Revira. The entire movie would be dead.
All right, so yeah, that was terrible. Like basically the entire time I was watching this, I was yelling at the screen because nothing made any sense, and then occasionally remarking, "Oh, that's good animation." There was even like something in the animation that I was like, "Oh wow, I haven't seen that in a while," and that was like a cool little body horror moment where there's like a shadow of a cat that gets ripped apart. But like, I don't know, it was bad. Uh, None of the characters were any good. Nothing made sense. And yeah, I didn't like it. I give it a 4.
Fair enough.
All right, on to
Wow.
Wicked City, because you have a screenshot for Wicked City. Quick, Lewis, tell us the car.
Okay.
Just name it.
Hold on.
Just name the car. Just name the car and then talk about it later. What car is that?
Toyota Mark II.
All right, go. All right, let's talk about Wicked City.
Wait. What's the average?
5, like flat out, just it's a 5.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
What's the anime? What's anime? Whatever's what's Anime Network's thing?
It's like-
my anime list is a 6.2. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Way too generous.
Well, I mean, again, this is gonna be the people that watched it because they like that kind of thing. This was just terrible. Like I don't have anything else to say. It's just terrible.
So you would say this would be like a fan, something recommended to fans of this genre, not people.
Yeah,
this must-
apocalyptic.
You know those people that really like those really shitty old like horror films, even though they know that they're bad to these
Halloween.
standards?
Yeah, the unnecessary
Halloween.
Halloween sequels and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
like Lily Cat.
Yeah,
I
that's
guess.
this. That's this. If you like that
Yeah.
shit, you'll like this because it's enjoyable for that. If you like anime plus that, there you go. I don't.
Yeah.
If,
All right,
if you
Wicked
like the
City.
directed DVD
Wicked
sequels,
City time.
Yeah, let's transfer over to Wicked City. I already changed the images. Let's get on the actual better one.
yeah. Let's
All
do
right,
it.
so Wicked City, visually is very similar, and conceptually it's very similar. In which you have 2 different worlds: the demon world and the
Makai.
and the real the human world, and we have our main character Taki, who is he's kind of like a sort of government agent, kind of security
A
personnel.
Blade Runner. He's kind of like a Blade Runner, but he hunts down demons.
Yeah, his job is to like hunt down demons and keep the human world safe from the demon world.
Illegal demons.
Really, he's, or more like he's supposed to keep the peace between
The rogue demons get killed, basically.
Yes. And he is assigned to protect a high quality asset named
Giuseppe Maillard.
The old man.
who is a high level spiritual medium, and he links up with Make or Maki or
Maki.
something like,
Maki.
yeah,
Let's call her
Maki. Who has a similar job to him, but she is from the demon
The other
world.
side. Yep.
And
In fact, she helps him at the very beginning. These 2 demons try to ambush him, and he shoots one of them. The other one tries to kill him from behind, and then she saves him.
basically the demon world has its own government, and the government is on the up and up and wants peace with the human world. And this rogue terrorist group of demons want to mess all that up because they don't like the human world. They want to invade it and whatever. The spirit medium Giuseppe is supposed to sign the treaty. So Maki and Taki are supposed to protect him. That's the initial premise. So let's go into the visuals.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, they're much like they're quite similar to Demon City, and much like Demon City, they are some of the best of the time, and really they rival stuff made nowadays.
I would.
Josh,
Yeah.
could
Go ahead.
could you cycle some of the ones I put
Yeah.
for?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I can add them in. Let me see if I can.
So are we
The reason I was just gonna say is the lighting in this film was almost lifelike. The level of, like, the entire reason I wanted you guys to watch this movie was the highway scenes. The highway scenes, the street lights, they reflect perfectly. Like as they're driving forward, the highway lights like properly reflect onto the parts of the car that they're supposed to. And when there's no lights, the car doesn't have any reflections on it. It's like they managed to get lifelike quality reflections. Like heck, the scene where Taki and Maki are at the airport, their reflections are in the window, and they almost look like they're real people. Like it's just that level of detail that this movie has stayed in my mind because it's filled with action and the story's interesting, but most importantly, it looks beautiful and it's got great sound and visuals.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Now
lie.
there's go ahead, Lewis.
I'm not gonna lie when I say that I agree with RJ regarding the detail. It's incredible. You could easily recognize the vehicles and everything else that was in the movie, especially Rensaburo's car and the reflection. That is something I want to strive for personally as an artist. Especially an automotive artist. Reflection is a very tough thing to do when you're illustrating a car, and somebody clearly did their homework when they did those highway scenes. And
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. There is another side to this movie, and that is something that I dearly miss from retro anime, and that is body horror. This thing, it's not the greatest body horror anime out there, but there certainly is quite a bit of it. You have normal looking humans suddenly deforming in absolutely grotesque ways, and it's good, entertaining stuff. It's absolutely disgusting. There's a scene where like this movie's very, very nearly pornographic. Like
Yeah.
it's basically softcore porn.
It's so I kind of want to touch on that. It feels like it's pornographic to like be shocking at a lot of points, but then
Yeah.
it's like there's hentai, so it's like softcore, hardcore hentai is the way that I would describe it.
It's basically the average noir movie, but animated.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
the average noir movie has sex in it.
Well,
Yeah,
it can, but
but there's also no vaginas that are like launching themselves at people.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
if you want-
there's
the spider woman.
yeah, the Spider Woman, her fucking her vagina.
That was her mouth.
Dentata. That was that was a vagina dentata moment.
That is, I hate to bring this up, but in a few sentences, that is a creature from Japanese mythology, the spider demon who lures men.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
wait. Oh, I remember something. I remember something.
No, so we don't go any further. Yeah, it ends with a priest warning a man who's in love with her, says stay away from her, because she's a demon. He ignores everyone's warnings. One day he just disappears and no one finds his body.
Yeah. So but yeah,
That was actually the origin of the Kawasaki Penis Festival.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Go ahead. Anyways, Josh,
yeah,
go.
so
Yeah.
just to go back into the visuals, like I honestly enjoyed so much of it. I think on top of just like the visuals being so great, and the grotesque parts of it adding way more, especially comparing it to Demon City. Um, you have a lot of like the weird demon aspects being much better, like the girl's fingernails like shooting out and like getting ready to fight, like um the gunfire is a lot better than seeing like the sword just like shooting lasers. Um, you see like the hits on the body, and it feels better than like the hits from Demon City. Like whenever you're comparing both of them, Demon City does the visuals to one of the greatest levels that you could see, and even if this is doing it not as well in some parts, it almost does it better because it feels better. And I would rather have the feeling be a little bit better than just have that technical aspect all the time.
Yeah. That makes sense. It like just pure detail and pure workmanship is not going to have as much effect as as having a developed art style or like atmosphere or something like that.
And I mean, like visually, like there were gorgeous parts where you can see the layering of the scenes, like, and you can see like the different focus levels. Like it looks like you're watching in some scenes like an actual camera. Like the artists are hitting these really well done points. Their shading is amazing, and again, for its time and style, this is one of the top ones. In some aspects, it lacks compared to the others, but again, it just feels better. It doesn't feel like that's the only thing that's going on. So
Would you mind? Sharing? There's a specific image that I swear it's like it was taken right out of Blade Runner, and I just reposted it. The lighting is very lifelike and it's sensible. It's not all over the place. And I mean I don't mean to be disrespectful to a lot of anime creation these days. Like a lot of animes these days are good, but that level of lighting took time. Like it's lifelike. I don't know how else to put it. There's even a scene where he's playing chess with someone, and I jokingly said to the guys, I said, "Hey, this looks like it's taken straight out of Blade Runner," and their shadow, as the other guy is moving a pawn forward, his hand has a shadow, and it moves back with his hand. It's like I don't know how to put it. Like the shadow and reflections are perfect, but
right.
or near perfect. But yeah, you have a point.
I
Yeah.
there. So I'm just bringing it up.
All
There you
right.
go. So that's the image that he was talking about. Yeah, like you can see how much really good detail goes into this with the shading. Like I think that as far as shading goes, this is something that as an artist you want to like achieve.
It's also great cinematography because it almost uses that doorway to change the aspect ratio of the scene into this tiny frame.
And it changes the color palette. It does a lot, and there's a lot that you can like take from this. All right, so I think
if I may add one quick thing, I think Will just hit the nail on the head because in that scene he's going into the underworld, literally. So that scene right there, it's like the scene it's like the scene in Blade Runner where the main character is going into the hotel. Like that's what this reminded me of, like the lighting and all that. Go ahead, sorry.
All right, yeah, let's move on to the sound design.
I didn't give my take on it yet.
Oh,
was
okay.
mostly
Yeah.
it was mostly the same as everyone else's. I really liked the look of this. It kind of gave me a Ninja Scroll vibe. If anyone's seen
Same
Ninja Scroll,
director.
yeah, impressive, very impressive. That's it.
All
All
right,
right.
all right. Sound design, sound design, sound design. Um, be
I
honest,
go ahead.
I don't have much to say about it. I don't really remember any of the music off the top of my head. And then the like most of the sound effects were kind of standard, like you hear a slashing sound or anime slashing sound, melting gunshots and whatever. Voice acting was fine and all that.
Yeah.
Well, if I have to be honest, the ending thing was okay. It considering it was a ballad, but outside that, I don't have much to say about the sound, unfortunately.
I'd say the fight scenes were well done. I think we've said this a few times where whenever the sound, like, you don't notice it being bad or good. I do remember it sounding like the 80s. A little maybe too much 80s compared to some others that I've seen. But, you know, whenever you're dealing with the 80s and you're dealing with kind of like slash gore kind of stuff, it's kind of standard. So I'm not gonna take hits for it either. Like I can't remember any of the music though. Like I'm racking my brain and I can't even remember any of it. So
All things considered, this movie was made in the same year I was born. This
Wow.
this is a 33-year-old movie, and the anime and it held heaps better than most anime nowadays.
yeah.
Oh, what did you think of the sound design?
Honestly, well, I already mentioned my take on the sound design.
Yeah. Anyone else have any more takes on the sound? Because I
I
think
do.
that was
Yeah, it's standard.
yeah.
It was standard, but it was satisfying. Like when his gun was shot. I'm sorry. When weaponry was at use, or there was bodies melting, or just in general, it didn't sound off. It didn't sound janky. And you guys know what I mean by janky, right? It didn't sound cheap. Like it sounded authentic enough. Like I'm not gonna call it amazing, but it was very authentic. Like it was spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the characters. We're only going to mention a couple of them, just like the last one, just because time constraints. So Taki, or he was quite. I quite liked him. He was he kind of had a sort of everyman kind of personality. Where he wasn't he was how should I say this?
He felt to me like kind of forced. Like he was what I felt like. How do I want to say this? It felt like a nerd's idea of what someone
A
cool is
detective.
like. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it just it felt kind of forced, but like he also felt like very anime protagonist. But if you made the anime protagonist not have all of the things that we know of, like that we like standardize today,
Like hot
where
blooded.
it was just like he could pick up all the women, he was good looking, and he was a great fighter, and he was very like smooth about everything that he said. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's
those things kind of make sense a lot more, especially like the pick up all the women part. Because he isn't like some nerdy otaku that they pulled into another world. This is like some big, buff, burly dude who dresses nice and
He's a
is
ladies'
pretty.
man.
Yeah, and he's a pretty smooth talker.
Yeah, the dude is quite a Chad if you think about it, especially when it comes to the scenes with Maki. Um, and and then there's the fact that the guy is well respected in his workforce.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm, especially considering that I won't say that the guy is an anti-hero. No, he's not. He's not an anti-hero, but he's one of those guys who just he hardly knows what's going on, and he starts looking for his purpose.
Yeah. Well, he is basically a film noir kind of protagonist where there's a lot of there's a lot of shit happening around him, and he has to kind of piece uh the sort of mystery together as he's going along.
And the worst part is he's in too deep, doesn't realize it, and when he does, he can barely keep his head above the water.
Yeah. Very, very noir-esque. But as far as like being a particularly interesting character, not really. He's not. There's not too much about him where it's like, okay, this guy's out there. I'm like really hooked on this guy. He's just generally likable. Now Maki is pretty down to earth, or not down to earth, down to business. At first, she's she sort of keeps everyone around her at arm's length until Take kind of starts to learn more about her. And they grow to like each other. And that's because obviously she's hiding things. And what she's hiding is that she used to be part of the terrorist group from the demon world. And she's quite
Well, it's more that she belonged to the radicalized cell, whose members became terrorists. So she's a
Yeah.
radical, but she's not going to blow people up.
Yeah. There really isn't. I mean, there's a few characters, but it looks like most of them don't even have names. Like there's Jin, Maki's ex-boyfriend, but he's only in like a couple scenes.
There's also like the hotel chairman, the spider lady.
Yeah, that's literally their names: Spider Woman,
the
Soap,
soap lady.
Kanako.
Yeah.
Kanako.
Yeah, that's a Spider Woman.
Oh, Mao is
Wow,
calling her
okay.
Soap Girl.
So soapy girl.
So what was the old dude's name? Like
Start with a G.
Giuseppe.
Giuseppe. So I'll go in on him. I honestly I thought that he was actually a funny character in like this weird world. It was just
Ooh.
like he's just like, oh, like I just can't. He's like, I am old. I just want to see tits, and I want to be lavished by sexy women, and like that's all he cared about. It was kind of like that like side humor, and I'm not gonna go into the spoiler about him near the end, but like just seeing how like calm he was, especially like the first moment you meet him, whenever he was like, "Well, I'm glad I took the earlier plane because I had a feeling this was gonna happen." And you're just like, "What?" Like he's just so casual about people dying. It's like, "All right, let's go." Just
Uh, you know
I
what's funny?
thought he was one of the better characters.
You know what? You know what? I can actually say that Giuseppe is easily the best character in the movie because the man radiates the
Oh.
same energy as Master Roshi in Haposai from Rama and a Half. Old horny men in their like 100 dudes like 200 years old, but they still wanna smash some post if you know what I mean.
No,
I
he's
thought,
a pervert. He's a pervert old man. Yeah,
I
that's,
thought
that's
he was kind of annoying, to be
he.
honest.
Yeah, he becomes useful later without spoiling anything. He becomes useful, but it feels like Maki and Taki are just babysitting this perverted old man the entire movie.
Yeah, and I'm actually okay
until
with
then.
that as a plot, honestly.
We got to babysit this guy until there's peace between the worlds.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah, basically, the guy is how should I say this? The guy is an at how should I say this? I know there was a trope for this. Walk, crouching idiot, hidden badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the name.
Can I just chime in before we end? I just wanted to say two quick things. One, so for the characters, we already cleared that, but really quick translation into English. And this also happened with Dragon Ball Super. It's just this odd thing where people take a literal word. I'm sorry, take a word and literally translate it incorrectly. So in Dragon Ball Super, Goku Black would be Goku Dark, as in it's a dark element. He's evil. In this movie, Makai, I'm using the proper term for the other world, hell, whatever. King Yama is the judge. Makai is known as the Dark World for the demon section, especially. So it'd be Dark World, and Taki and Maki are part of the Dark Guard. They're the guards who make sure that if a spirit leaves that world or a demon leaves that world, they're not going around causing havoc in the living world. That's the entire point of their job. The movie called it the Black World and the Black Guard, which it's just poor translation. I just thought that was kind of funny. The second thing I just want to quickly say is, when you guys were talking about the author, like it's a nerd's perspective, you're 100% correct. The author is also the creator of Vampire Hunter D, and as I mentioned, it was also Demon City Shinjuku. But his characters are basically like they're anime protagonists. Like almost all of his characters are.
Yeah. Nines, you sounded like you had a take on Giuseppe.
Yeah, I usually don't like the perverted character all that much, so he didn't really do much for me. But as the story goes on, it kind of shows that he was hiding more than he lets on. So when the reveal shows that who he really was, it was kind of an refreshing subversion, I should say.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the plot. So the plot, well, it actually makes sense.
Hey.
Yeah. So there's quite a bit going on. The Dark World and the normal the human world, they want their respective governments, I guess. They want to form a treaty. Now it's assumed by most of the characters in the movie that the treaty is going to be like on paper, like a military treaty. But that's not really it. It's more like how monarchies formed treaties, and that's by marrying off their. That's by arranged marriage.
In a sense, yeah.
The idea is you're not going to. Your kingdom's not going to go to war with my kingdom.
Because we're
After
related.
all, yeah. You're my. Our children are married. So.
Well, there's an agreement beforehand, but that is one way without spoiling anything. But yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah. So the reality is, the job that Maki and Taki were supposed to do was basically a front for this arranged marriage, and Maki and Taki are the arranged spouses, and the job was set up so that they would meet and eventually fall in love. And their offspring would ensure that the treaty would be followed and the two worlds wouldn't fight each other.
Yeah, basically, they will have to be they are basically the people in charge of peace between the both worlds. Well,
There's now there's quite a few moments that are set up and have decent payoffs later on. Like there's the scene at the beginning where Taki has sex with the Spider Girl, thinking she's just a normal woman, and after he finishes, she attacks him and then says, "I've already got what I wanted out of you," and leaves. And and then later on, she says she examined a sample she got from him, and says the DNA, he has the DNA required to produce offspring with Maki. And it's a lot of little things like that that really like hold the plot together, like really make it feel cohesive instead of just a simple string of events.
Well, and it felt like there had purpose, right? Like he actually had a job doing this.
Yeah.
She was assigned to this as well. She had her own motives. And then they were working together to get to a point, and then they got to that point, and things just fell in line correctly. Like it's not very hard to create a cohesive plot, and they just made it very simple to go by, right? And the small events that happen in the middle help progress the plot, but it was like, here's A, here's B, here's C, and we got there. And
Yeah.
like for a short anime movie, that's completely fine.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty it's like you never want to write a story where it's like A happens and then B happens and then C happens, because that's not really a story. It's just a string of events.
The
It was
the writers of South Park actually said it best. It's you don't want to create ABC, you want to say and then what? Because then you think what what would progressively happen next anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like if you have an
It,
idea,
it's
you have to think how it would get there, not just getting there. Yes.
yeah. Well, it's like they had well, it's like A happens, but then B happens, and therefore C happens.
Yes.
There's a lot of moments where you know there's quite a lot of tension. You know, there's the moment where the car gets ambushed and they have to fight Spider Girl, and then they defeat Spider Girl, but then
Quick question, really. Was there one Spider Girl or two? Because I remember
there was
One.
one.
how the heck did her body melt onto the poor Mystic?
Oh, she was known as Temptress. Yeah, according to
Oh, so she has special abilities. Yeah, never mind. Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
yeah.
But anyway, uh the soap girl turned out to not really be a girl, but like a parasite, and she was still inside the Mystic's body, and he and he and the soap girl captured Maki and all that. So there's a lot of stuff like that. But we do have to wrap this up because we're over time.
Unfortunately,
Indeed.
Yes.
Let's rate the movie.
That's
Just rate it.
All right. So now that we actually have a plot, this has to be above a 5. So visually, I liked it. There was a lot to like about this, and though this isn't my normal genre that I like getting into, um, it kept my attention. I would say that maybe there was a little bit too much of the softcore kind of porn-esque things going on, including the sex scenes going on a little bit too long. So there just few things like that, few minor issues. But for the fact that it was a really well done anime movie in the 80s, I'll say a 7.5.
oh, honestly, the visuals were stunning, and the series, the movie as a whole, I can honestly say aged well on the animation factor alone. The plot is more or less the same as Wicked City. Good versus evil. You have to face rogue demons.
Or yeah, creating creating peace on Earth.
Exactly, basically. Outside that, I'm afraid it's a bit predictable regarding the plot, but overall, let's give it a 6. Screw it, 6. But I wanna give it a 6.5.
all right. RJ.
All right, so I agree with everything Lewis said, but here's the thing: I went and looked back at the live action, and let's just say Power Rangers holds up better than the live action Wicked City film. So I'm gonna have to give it 9.5 because it's the only, and I say the only anime film where I'm sorry, it's the only anime film from that era that I feel is lifelike. Like it has like realistic visuals, and the writing makes sense. It's neo noir. So 9.5, because it sticks to me. I saw this movie. I think I was like 12. I went to the public library, and the public library didn't care like if you got R-rated movies. And it's since then it has stuck to my mind, and I'm just like, this is a good noir movie. Like not just a good noir anime movie. It is a good noir movie, like on its own. So yeah, 9.5.
All right. Nines.
All right, so overall, I really enjoyed it. The characters, again, they don't get development. They're not multi-layered characters. They basically are just, again, they're assassins, practically Blade Runners, whatever you want to call them, who fit their role in the story. It's, again, like I said, with the perverted character that's supposed to bodyguard, he becomes much more interesting and overall likable by the end. I like the fight scenes and everything, and the art style is amazing and everything. So I gave it a 7. It's really a hallmark of its time. And I think it's a must-watch for a lot of people.
I
think.
agree.
All right. So this movie, it's not an incredible movie. The visuals are great. And the story's decent. I know I was praising it, and it deserves praise. It was all right. It was good. However, there are stories in anime, especially anime movies around that time, that were much more remarkable. You know, you have freaking, what's it called, Akira. You have Nazuka of the Valley of the Wind.
Neo Tokyo, which
Yeah,
was
I haven't seen that movie, so I can't really comment on that. But there were also there's also a lot worse movies from around that time, as we've just seen. Visuals are great. The characters were, they fit the bill. They got the job done. So I'd say it's a average movie with above average visuals, like 10 out of 10 visuals. Maybe maybe a 6.5 out of 10 story, or maybe a 7. I think overall I'd give this movie like a solid like 7.5, I'd say.
Wow, higher than mine.
Yeah.
I was originally gonna rate it a 7, but like I said, I would give it a 9 just for the animation alone.
Wow. Really?
All right. Well, is your score 6.5 or a 9?
Let's give it a 7.5. Screw it.
A 7.5. All right. You have to repunch those numbers in. What do we got?
What the heck? Josh?
Josh?
I muted myself. Sorry, I have a 7.5, a 7.5, 9.5. I'm missing 2 of them.
I think they gave it a 7, so.
7 and 7.
I gave it
Yeah.
a 7.5.
Same.
All right.
2 7.5s, 1 9.5, and then he gave it a 7, and then you.
7.5s. All right, cool.
It's a lot better than Demon City if I
So-
compare it.
Yeah.
I am
So,
not.
Sorry.
so we gave this a 7.8.
All right.
Which compared to the, oh wow, that's the IMBD, not. Let me find.
Mouse
Yeah,
score
like-
was 6.44.
Damn.
Wow.
So-
People slept on this good shit. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least Mal recognized that this was better than the other.
Barely.
At least.
Barely,
Yeah.
which that's kind of scary. Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps us up. If you're gonna watch an anime tomorrow for your Halloween festivities, we recommend Wicked City if you're gonna do that, and stay away from Demon City.
Yeah,
Yeah.
would not watch again.
All right. So that was our October spooky anime podcast for Outpost 1018. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you have a good Halloween and see you next month.
Stay safe. Stay safe.
Stay safe. Wash your hands.